every time I hear sixth head coach in program history, that really resonates with me. It's impressive. I didn't know that till I looked at that a couple days ago, and what an honor. What an honor to lead a program now that's only been led by 5 other head coaches. I do want to say thank you to the administration for supporting me on this decision. I want to say thank you to our players. I know they had a huge say in this, and they support me, and that's huge moving forward with what we want to do, how we want to elevate the program moving forward. Having the support of your players means a lot. So thank you to JD, Derek Grice, Tim Lansky. And also I want to say thank you to Coach Martinez. He's the one that reached out and called me and brought me here and brought me back to the West Coast. My wife and I are from the West Coast. I had spent some time on the other side of the country for a while with USA Baseball and Eastern Kentucky University. And this is a time in our life where our parents are starting to get a little bit older, and to be able to spend more time and be closer to them was a value for us. And Coach Martinez, I just want to say thank you for his support and my time here with him. I know this was a tough decision for him and his family to retire, but we want to wish him well, and I hope that he still feels comfortable enough to be around the program and support me. So I'll open it up for questions now.
Did you see this coming?
So, being very transparent, when Mark called me about the pitching job, him and Tim Lansky reached out to me about my interest in taking over the program when Mark retired. So there were some conversations on the table. Even, I want to say, a year and a half ago, Mark talked to me about signing a contract through his retirement. So I don't want to say I saw it coming, to be honest with you. I'm from the Northwest, and I was walking into the All-Star game when I got the phone call from JD and Derek and Tim that Mark was retiring. The expectations the whole time were he was going to see his contract through, and there was going to be a strong chance that I would be the next guy.
Follow-up question. Based on what you learned at the University of Arizona, what you learned in minor league baseball with what you did with the Padres, what has that helped you become as a coach? Because those are so very different worlds.
Good question. I'm gonna add USA Baseball in there also. So with the Padres, I had a hybrid role. I was one of 4 guys within the organization that was involved in scouting and player development. So I worked in baseball operations. I did spend a lot of time in our minor league system. I managed 1 year when I oversaw the spring training facility. So basically I had 2 full-time gigs. My first year I was a coordinator in player development, and then I was also a part of the draft. So my time at the University of Arizona, I'm probably biased here, but I learned from one of the best in the game, Andy Lopez, and I'm so thankful that him and I still have a great relationship, because I'm going to lean on him heavily probably this year. I've already told him that he's invited and welcome to come out here anytime. But what I learned when I went to USA Baseball, I got to work with some of the best coaches from high school baseball all the way up to Major League Baseball. So I got to be in a room with a lot of individuals that I was able to lean on and learn from. Butch Thompson's one of them, and we were talking last night. And then just seeing the game internationally, going to Japan, Chinese Taipei and Taiwan, seeing Cuba play. There's just little differences in the subtleties of the game that I was able to pick up on. I'll be honest with you, that's why since I have come back to college baseball, a lot of pitchers that I've coached are throwing split fingers, because I saw that in Japan and how our offense struggled with those pitches. Working in the front office with the Padres, I got to do a lot of different things. AJ Preller gave me a lot of responsibility, and I basically was fast-tracked in learning everything on the professional side of baseball. So it's definitely given me a different lens when I'm evaluating players. And then also, I'll be honest with you, I think it's given me more patience on the player development side. It's very easy to get caught up in college and saying, okay, we need to win, which you do. And then all of a sudden, you're applying a lot of pressure to your student athletes to develop faster. I think the pro side gave me some balance in that area. to see how guys can really progress through the course of a season or a year when they're getting a lot of quality reps and quality coaching. So it's definitely giving me more balance. And then on the other side of that, I think it's added more validity to what I say to the student athletes, because they eventually want to get to professional baseball. So now I can speak from that window or from that lens of being on that side and tell them exactly what it's going to look like. So it adds more validity when I'm saying, hey, you have to do X, Y, and Z to be really good in college baseball, but also to prepare yourself to move on to professional baseball. And there's a saying that I say to these guys all the time: there's a difference between signing and getting to professional baseball and then excelling in professional baseball and having a long career. There's a huge difference between those two. So my experience on the professional side allows me to give them that information and really help them to be prepared to make that transition from college to professional baseball.
From the outside looking in, Sdsu baseball is kind of looked at as a program full of potential.
Mm-hmm.
In your estimation, why do you think those heights haven't been reached, and how do you plan to change that?
Good question. One of the reasons why I was brought here is and I don't know, I don't have it in front of me, but pitching seemed to be the area that was holding this program back from getting out of a regional, and that's why I was hired. And that's also a dynamic that's not going to change. I'm going to stay with the pitching, and that was drilled into my head a long time ago by Coach Lopez. If you want to win championships, you better know how to pitch. So just looking at it in the last number of years, or even in the last decade, I think that's been the one area, once we've gotten into regionals, is pitching's held us back. And if you look in Omaha, and I say this all the time because people are always talking about, TD Ameritrade is not a home run park. It's hard to hit home runs. Well, I think one thing that's overlooked is most of those teams that get to Omaha can pitch really, really well. So, pitching is going to be the backbone of what we're going to do moving forward. Obviously, we need to improve on the defensive side and offensive side. It'll make my life a lot less stressful. Calling pitches in 2-1 ball games all the time is a little nerve-wracking, but so I look forward to improving those two areas, and I think when we do that, automatically it's going to elevate us to a whole nother level.
How does the NIL figure in all this, especially if you're trying to improve the pitching?
Mm-hmm. I think it factors in. I mean, you're seeing how it's impacting the game right now across the country. You could argue that LSU won a national championship this year by going and getting players in the portal and being able to provide them with NIL money. I think it's something that San Diego State values, and they're getting ahead of right now. We're building an infrastructure in the athletic department right now to be able to handle that moving forward. But yeah, obviously it's factoring into the game right now in a big way.
Your hiring coming now, how does that, and school starting in a few weeks, how do you stand on recruiting and getting you guys into school full time?
Well, the next 2 weeks are critical. I have a portal guy coming in 2 weeks to visit, and there's also a local shortstop for next year's class that I'm meeting with tomorrow. I want to hit the ground running and impact our program in a major way with a couple commitments in the next 2 weeks. But we have a good support staff here, especially on the academic side, that's very helpful and very supportive with, even if the deadline is a week or two out from school starting, they do a really good job getting guys into school and getting them acclimated quickly.
What's most unique now that you've coached in the Mountain West? I mean, what makes this league, so unique with the travel and the elevation and opponents and everything that goes into it?
It's very stressful for a pitching coach.
Yeah,
It's extremely offensive.
Yeah.
I got a little taste of that at Eastern Kentucky University in the OVC, the Ohio Valley Conference. It's extremely offensive too. So I think that helped prepare me for how to call pitches and how we're going to attack hitters. I don't want to give too much of that away right now because of our opponents, but there's the number one thing is just don't give up free bases. So walking people and then making an error, and now all of a sudden the 3-run home run shows up, and that's a huge separator, especially late in the game. We can give up the solo shots, but you got to attack the strike zone and not give up those free passes. The uniqueness of the conference, I'm biased because I'm a West Coast guy. I like I like the travel. I like going to Las Vegas. Air Force in March is not exciting, and I think we're doing that this year. It's going to be a little chilly, but I like the travel. I like the conference. I like the competition, and I like the challenge of us winning multiple or back-to-back conference championships coming up. I did not know this last year until people started talking about it, but it was 24 years since we won a conference championship, and last year was a co-championship. That, in my opinion, needs to change. I think we have every advantage in the conference, just where we are location-wise, recruiting, support, to where we should be winning the conference every year, or at least in the top 2 or 3. So, but yeah, it's been exciting for me because it's a good challenge from the pitching side because it's so offensive. And don't quote me on this, but I think we went to New Mexico last year and gave up maybe 1 or 2 home runs, that's hard to do there. The elevation is, man, and then when it gets windy. So, and Air Force had a really good offense last year, and we handled them pretty good here. And if I remember right, I think they got to us a little bit on the Sunday game, but still overall we pitched really well on the road in those spots.
Tony Gwynn's legacy is obviously forever marked at San Diego State, especially with that baseball.
Mhm.
Did you know him at all? Do you have any interactions with him? What do you think about just the legacy that he's left?
Yeah, unfortunately I didn't. I will tell you this though, I got Tony Gwynn socks on today. So, I didn't, but my time with the Padres has definitely heightened my understanding of Tony Gwynn, walking into that stadium every day and seeing his statue. And then I'll be honest with you, there's been moments of time where I'm walking into the stadium here and I recognize his name's on the stadium and how special that is. Now, I did see him play growing up, and obviously he's one of the best hitters of all time. But I do have a good relationship with Chris Gwynn, and I do plan on reaching out to his son and talking to him and connecting. And I do have some things in the works right now because of my relationship with the Padres that I can't get into, but we definitely want to continue to carry his legacy moving forward and even elevate some of the things that we're doing right now to continue to show how important he was for San Diego State, the Padres, the city of San Diego. We need to carry that forward. That's really important. And we're at a point now where our players are so young that they probably didn't see him play, or maybe they haven't seen video of him. And that is my job and San Diego State's job to continue to educate them on Tony and what he means to this program in this city.
Is Pancho Ruiz returning this year?
No, he signed a free agent deal with the Twins, which is good. I think Pancho and some of our other guys, as much as I would love to have them back, they need to start their pro careers. Yeah, they got to get that. They got to get that going. They're not getting any younger.
Coach, how has your leadership style evolved over the course of your journey through baseball, now becoming a Division I head coach?
Mm-hmm.
And what can fans and student athletes expect from an Aztecs program headed by Shaun?
Good question. That has evolved from being a very young coach and trying to establish myself with the players. And I was the youngest pitching coach in the Pac-10 at the time when I was hired. And I made the jump from a junior college to the University of Arizona, and Coach Lopez gave me a ton of responsibility in my first year. And I think in those first number of years, I was trying to justify to myself that I belonged at that level. And also I was doing national recruiting for them. The journey has taken me to a place now where there's a lot more balance to what I do. I think I communicate better now. I also try to empower the student athletes to have a little more ownership with what they're doing in their career. What you can expect from our program is a team that's going to be highly aggressive when they play, and winning is extremely important. And then also just quality young men that are going to be growing in our program, because it goes beyond just being really good baseball players. I think those things go hand in hand, being a good human being, a good person, working hard. I say this all the time, that culture and winning go hand in hand. So, if you're winning, everybody's happier. Everybody's enjoying things a lot more. and I think that enhances the culture. But the culture also has to be in a good place and be strong enough to give the team and the players clarity to focus on winning games. So that's why I say those things go hand in hand.